Leno's Garage. The vehicle we're featuring today, race car royalty, ladies and gentlemen. This belonged to the legendary Rod Hall, a 1968 Ford Bronco, overall winner in the Baja. But this thing has been raced since the day it left the factory, and it's still being raced today by a very talented racer, Amy Lerner. Amy, come on in. Good to see you, my friend.
Hi, Jay. Thanks.
She's been on the show before. Give us some of your credits. Don't be modest. The things you've raced, or where you've been.
So I have raced the Australasian Safari Rally in Western Australia. I've raced the Dakar Rally twice in the Classic division in a 1982 Porsche. I've raced them in 400. I've raced the Rally Aisha des Gazelles, as well as the Rebelle Rally, which is an orienteering rally.
Right, yeah, that's a great one. Now, you've also done a film. I guess a documentary is really what it is, isn't it? On Rod. Tell us about that.
So Rod Hall was a friend and also the guy who gave me my very first off-road driving lesson. And after we'd known each other for about a dozen years, I ran into him and we were just chit-chatting about his looking forward to his 50th consecutive Baja 1000 race, which was going to happen in 2017.
50th?
50th
wow.
consecutive race. He was the only person who raced every Baja 1000 from the very first one in 1967, and as he liked to joke, everyone else graduated.
Wow.
So I had a crazy idea. I said, you know, hey Rod, can we maybe try to make a documentary about your racing leading up to this record-setting 50th race, and weave in some of the history of your time off-road racing. And he said, well, you know, people have always asked me about doing a book or doing a movie, and I've always said no, but Amy, because you're the one who's asking, I'm going to say yes.
Oh, that's great.
So I was really excited and then thought, oh shoot, you know, how do I make a documentary? And we just kind of hit the ground running from there.
I know his racing legend. Did he have a regular job? By that I mean, was he a gentleman racer who did it on the side, or was it full-time racing all through his life? I mean, did he have another gig selling insurance? I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
When he started out, he owned a gas station. Before that 1967 race. And then as years passed and he was more and more successful, he became a factory racer for Dodge and then for GMC with the Hummer program. And he had some other sort of side businesses, but he was basically a professional racer. That was his career.
Because there are so many people that do it, and you know, unless you're the #1 person, you don't really make a living at it. But he obviously was able to. And racing for 50 consecutive years, boy, that's pretty good. He was, what, about 82 when he passed? Is that what it was?
He passed away in 2019 at 82, and he turned 80 like 3 days after that 50th Baja 1000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is this the vehicle he raced from 68 on?
This is the vehicle that he won the 1969 Baja 1000 overall in. Ahead of even the motorcycles, and it was remains the only production 4x4 to ever win the Baja 1000.
Oh, is that right?
Yep, and he raced with Bronco for several years before signing with Dodge.
Okay. Now this one, although, you know, it's so funny, if you know nothing about vehicles, this looks like the 60s for some reason. I don't know whether it's this color combination, it just had, maybe it's the lettering, it just has a period look to it. But this is still, you raced this one to this day, correct?
Yeah. I did. Yeah, the backstory of the recent racing history of this was back in, I think it was 2014. Rod's granddaughter Shelby said, hey, you know, Rod, can we pull the Bronco out of the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame Museum, renovate it and race it in the Nora Mexican 1000, which is a race taking place in Baja with a focus on racing vintage vehicles. And Rod said sure, and they got Ford Performance on board, they donated a crate engine, and they pulled it out and they raced it down in Mexico a couple of times, and then Shelby and I actually raced it and ended up on the podium at the Mint 400.
Now let me ask you a question, only because his granddaughter's name was Shelby. Was she named after Carol? Was that, or is that, it just happened to be Shelby?
I don't actually know specifically, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little influence there. Yeah.
Because I imagine those guys all sort of moved in the same circles.
Yep.
Now racing is so corporate, you know.
Yeah.
But back in the day, everybody just kind of hung out. There wasn't a lot of money in it. You did it for, you know, I remember talking to Sterling Moss and some of those guys, and they would race for gasoline and tires. You know, just to get tires. Oh, okay. You know, they get free tires for life. Okay, give me the, okay, fine. That kind of thing. So that's why I wondered about that. Now this has what? So it's got a modern Ford crate engine in it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. 350 horsepower, which is a significant improvement over the original, which I think would have been about 100.
Now, before we open the hood, where can people see this documentary?
So the documentary, which is called One More Win, is on a whole lot of streaming platforms right now, including Amazon and iTunes.
Oh, very good. Okay, well, be sure to check it out. So there you go. You can see this car in action with period footage. But for now, let's open the hood and see what it's like in the thing. Yeah, that is not the stock 302.
No.
Now, what does it say here? Danger.
Extreme danger.
Extreme danger. Do not place anything near here. Near
Yeah, that
fan.
would be a bad thing.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is a Ford racing engine. What motor is it? Do you know?
I think it's the 347, I believe.
340. So this is never a street engine. Always
Correct.
a competition
Yep. Yeah, it's a
motor.
great
Okay.
engine for racing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, obviously this has all been reinforced. This is
Yep.
not standard practice on a Bronco. Even in '68, Broncos were pretty utilitarian.
Yes.
You could get a 302 with a 3-speed on the column, and but no
Not this.
no airbags, no anti-lock, no nothing. So very good. Look at the massive air cleaner. You have the air cleaner, and then you have this
Extra.
in case. Yeah, it's a little keep it.
Yep.
well,
Yeah.
just-
I mean, it races in the sand.
Right,
You know, and a lot
exactly.
of dust. You got to do what you can.
Exactly. Okay. This is a temperature sensor. Is that what this is? What is this?
Yeah.
Okay. That's an overflow. Okay. Yeah, it's your basic V8. Is it a? It's a manual.
It is a manual transmission. Yep.
4-speed, 6-speed.
It is a
You-
4-speed.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah.
it's old school. Yeah, you don't need a 6-speed in the.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No. Yeah, a lot of the modifications were kept in keeping with the original.
Now, when you race this, what is your average speed? 50 to 60? Something
Average
like that?
speed really depends on the terrain. So some
Right.
off-road races, your average speed will be 35.
Right, right.
And I know that both Shelby and I got this north of 100 on the
Okay.
lake bed at the mid 400. So
Okay.
it can go.
And that's pretty much
Not a
flat
smooth
out.
ride, but yeah, pretty much flat out.
All right,
Yep.
very good. Put these pins- I always love hood pins. There's something very cool about them. This out of the
Of course,
way.
you have to get them on.
There we go.
There we go.
I love some little visors here to keep.
Yes, very, very effective windscreens.
Right. Why not have a windshield? Well, I guess just
They
too
break.
much. Oh, they break.
break. Yeah.
Because there's so much flex and everything else.
Yep,
Okay.
and even in the desert where you don't have to worry about hitting a tree branch, there's rocks that kick up and things that break.
Right.
So this is a little bit of a compromise.
Yeah, and compromise is the word. Yeah. Okay. And I guess does the door open in this?
The
or
door
is
does
it-
not open.
Oh, I see.
Nope,
Okay,
you have to
gotcha.
climb. You'd have to climb in. Yep.
It's all-wheel drive all the time, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Very good. Like the old school steering wheel. How many gallon tank is this? My God.
That'll hold about 60 gallons.
About 60. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And you probably get about what 8 miles per gallon, something like that.
Hopefully.
Yeah, on a good day.
On a good day.
If you're going downhill.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. I like the tires all armor all. Want to keep it looking shiny.
Keep it looking good.
That's right. So did Rod build this car himself?
This car was built by the Bill Strop
Okay. Oh, sure.
shop.
That's right. Okay.
Yep, it was part of the Strop team.
Okay. And when did you first meet him?
I met Rod back in 2010 before I went to the Gazelle Rally in Morocco the first time, and he was
Oh.
my trainer, and I had no idea who he was or
Okay.
what he knew how to do.
Yeah. Pretty old school guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super humble.
Yeah.
Halfway through training, he's so humble and just asks you what you think you would do in a situation. I was kind of wondering if he even knew what he was doing.
Oh, is that right? That's funny. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, he's a legendary guy. I was always, my off-road experience usually involves me being on the road and then skidding off the road. So I don't have a whole lot of but it was one of those names that always show up in Hot Rod magazine.
Yeah.
It would show up in Road and Track and all of
Yep.
that because when you're the best at what you do, even if it isn't focused on that, it stands out. So yeah, he's quite a guy. And where did he live?
He lived in Reno, Nevada.
Okay, yeah.
And had a drive training school for a while. He did a lot of work with BF Goodrich on tire testing and tire training. So he just did everything he could in the dirt, aside from his ridiculously successful racing career.
Yeah. Now this has got what? Is that a C6 automatic in there? Is that what it is?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep, 3-speed.
Okay, so that's right. So it's not a lot of shifting. 3-speed is all you need in the desert, isn't it?
Yeah, you would just modify, your gearing based on the terrain,
Right.
and if you needed a little more acceleration.
And it's 1,000 miles.
The Baja 1000 is 1,000 miles.
1,000 miles,
Yep.
okay. From where to where now?
So that race, back in the day when this one raced, it would start in Ensenada and end in La Paz.
Oh, okay.
And there was no set race course, which is different than today. You have a course you have to follow, and you basically were just given the names of half a dozen towns along the way
Right.
where you would stop and check in and get gas. And you
Now-
had to figure it out otherwise.
Because I remember reading that, like, the locals would set traps for people. Like, dig a huge hole, cover it with branches so it doesn't look like anything, and you would fall into it and crash. And that was like a huge, I mean, it's probably the most dangerous race. And there doesn't seem to be any rules to it, does there? At least in the old days.
There are still a limited number of rules once you're on the course. The course, even today, is open.
Right.
So you can be in a trophy truck barreling, 120 miles an hour down a dirt track, and there's a farmer coming the other way with a pickup truck full of hay.
Right.
And you've just got to watch out.
Right, okay, yeah. Because I would always just hear these crazy stories. Wow, how is that possible? But people are out on the track, or they're having a barbecue and they're waiting, they root for their guy and try to sabotage the other guy. I mean, yeah, it was like no man's land, just pretty wild, pretty wild. How many times have you done it?
I have never raced in Baja,
Oh, you never
but
did the Baja.
I have followed the Baja 1000 a couple of times and the Northern Mexican 1000 a couple of times,
Okay.
filming for the documentary.
Oh,
But one
okay.
day, hopefully, I will race down the peninsula.
Okay, well, I'm anxious to see that documentary. I got to check it out. Very cool, very cool. Well, can we take this for a ride?
We can.
Let's give it a shot if I can figure out how to get into it. Challenge when you're long distance racing, kind of, is it exhaustion? Is it keeping your strength up? Is it, you know what I mean? What is?
It's really endurance.
Yeah.
It's really endurance because it's not just driving that many miles. It's driving that many miles while you're banging around.
Right, right.
And the noise and the dust and it all wears on you.
Something like this, which is meant to be off-road from the get-go, you know?
I would say yes to both.
Yeah?
They're both very different. This is just super, super capable, and you can drive it anywhere, and the four-wheel drive makes a lot of things easier. But taking a Porsche and racing it off-road, I mean, it's a sports car, it's fast, and there's a lot of fun to be had in two-wheel drive as you slide through corners and drift through turns. So it's a different experience, but super fun too.
My favorite Lamborghini was the Balboni, which was two-wheel drive with a manual box, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the four-wheel. I mean,
situational for sure. It's a lot easier in rough terrain to get out of it. But if you keep the momentum in a two-wheel drive, you just keep going.
You know, it's so funny. I forget this is an automatic that you shift by hand. But even in third gear, you pull away from a light.
Yep. Yeah, when your foot's not doing anything, your brain doesn't tell your hand to move.
I know. And the clutch is just welded onto the brake pedal. It's not really a clutch.
Right.
It's just another brake you can use.
Yeah, so if you want to do left foot braking while you're racing, you can.
I wish we had some land around here near the garage where we could take this thing off-road, but this is LA, and you get nailed for everything.
Yeah.
You know, the power steering makes it so easy.
That definitely helps.
And it's just classic American 60s power steering. There's no road feel, so you can just do this. That's a great V8 with a carburetor and no mufflers. It's just a free-breathing engine. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of power.
How much of the car is at night?
If you do it right, really not much of it.
Right.
Sometimes they'll throw it in transit in the morning before the sun comes up, or you'll be driving back to the Midwest when it's dark. But the racing part of it, they really try to keep that in the daylight.
Do you see all kinds of wild animals on it too?
Lots of crazy stuff, lots of camels. Last 2 years we were in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And it was just camels everywhere.
Wow. It must be hilarious in Saudi Arabia. You got a woman racing and winning the race, and women aren't allowed to drive.
Well, women there have actually been able to drive since 2018.
Yeah.
But you don't see many in motorsports.
Yeah, yeah.
And the fact that I was a woman and my co-driver was also a woman made us quite a spectacle.
So the documentary is streaming right now, right? If people Google it, we'll tell them where they
Yes,
can watch it.
it's on a lot of the streaming services, including Amazon and iTunes.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
It's called One More Win. If you enjoy seeing this car, imagine seeing it in action winning a race. Because I tell you, this thing's a lot of fun to drive. We really had no off-road area near my garage. We just went around the block with these loud exhausts, and luckily we didn't get stopped. But it was just fun to get a feel of what Rob did back in the day. And Amy is still racing this thing, so very good. Amy, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Good seeing you again.
Great to see you.
Let's not make it so long before you're on the show
Yes.
again.
I'll have to do something good. It's cool to come back.
Well, I hope you enjoy seeing this piece of history, and check out the documentary. Thanks, you guys. See you next week.
Mm-hmm.